Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. What I think it is the place to be right here and right now. I'm Jeff Hassel, the president-elect of the club, and Rhonda Renz, our current serving president, is busy doing something very important that we'll talk about here right now. Our volunteers are here and they're ready, but before we do our usual opening, I'd like us to do something different, and I know you Rotarians don't like to do things different, but let's try it. Let's see if you can do it. So, as you know, President Rhonda wed her fiance, Terry Daniel, on August the 3rd. I think we have a slide, hopefully shortly, of a picture. And we know that President Rhonda will watch the video of this meeting for no other reason than to see how well or how badly I did. And so I think we need to leave her and Terry a little present from us. And so in a minute, I'm going to ask you all to turn around, face the camera, and think about her wedding. Maybe her wedding makes you think of your wedding, your child's wedding, a friend's wedding, your honeymoon, her honeymoon, their first night together as a married couple, whatever. But think about something real happy and real joyous. Turn around and clap and cheer for Rhonda and Terry at the camera right now. Okay, and on with the show. Our song and pledge today will be given by Tom Allen. On the piano is our maestro, or Van Cliburn, Tom Wolf. The visitor introductions by past President Steve Clark, and first, the invocation by Barney James.
If you'll please join me. Dear Lord, were there those that are feeling lonely and abandoned, let them feel comfort and fellowship. Where there are those that are seeing injustice, let them see truth and fairness. Where there are those that see only greed and lust for power, let them know sharing and compassion. Where there are those that hear the shouting and conflict and violence, let them hear voices of peace. Let us be men and women of action, feeling, seeing, speaking with wisdom. And where there are people that have lost hope, let them find your love. In your name we ask these things. Amen.
As I thought about the song that we would sing today, I was reflecting on all the news on television, on radio, and on the paper about the problems we're having in this world today. It made me think of a song that was introduced to us in 1938 by Kate Smith. You remember it? What was happening in 1938 is not dissimilar to what is happening now. And so I thought we would sing God Bless America, but we do want you all to sing with me the verse that so many of you have heard and may not know. The first verse before we begin, God Bless America. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. You're attending club number 2500 in District 6110. As I announce our visitors today, would you please stand briefly with your Rotarian host, and we'll recognize you after all have been introduced. First and foremost, the wife of our speaker, Paula Clancy. Also with Dr. Clancy are Leland Alexander, Lee Deanna Bolton, Glenda Sylvie, Leah Brumbaugh, Jessica Hudgens, Walter Evans, and John Schumann. Guests of Rotarians today, Roberta Preston has her daughter Preston and son Nathan. Also, Jerry Dillon has his wife Denise. Taylor Burks is the daughter and guest of Dana Burks. Joe Roberts is the guest of Tim Nall, and Dr. Kent Farish is the guest of Tom Clinda and John O'Connor. Also, Lisa Turner is the guest of Michael Turner. Richard Medlock is the guest of Vic Robards. Becky Davis is the guest and beautiful wife of Matt Davis. Trish Kirkstra has two guests today, Ellie Duff and our youth exchange student, Anna Sophie Hoddenyak. Nancy Shelton is the guest of Linda Adloff, and Melanie Ketchum is the guest of Daniel Ketchum. Visiting Rotarians today from the Sunrise Assistant District Governor, Emily Patterson Harris. Also from the Rotaract Club, Stephanie Putsky and Kyanne Camus. Thank you for attending today and making Rotary a part of your day. Please come back anytime.
Thanks, Steve. I'd like to take a moment to thank today's Rotary sponsors, David Downing from Acrobat Ant and David Wolfers from James Potts and Wolfers. We encourage you always, if you can, to do business with your fellow Rotarians. In addition to the sponsors, will you all please thank the volunteers who made today's program and make every week's program possible. Their names should be on the screen. Let's thank them. And a quick reminder, our committee meeting for today is the Mike Chittum Partners in Education Committee meeting in room 232. A bit more about one of our guests. On behalf of the club, we'd like to welcome Anna Hoddenyak to Tulsa from Austria. She's the newest Rotary Youth Exchange inbound student. Anna's host for the first part of her year will be Trish Kirkstra. We'll hear more about her at a later time. I tried to get her on the program today, but she just got here a couple of days ago, and that wouldn't be fair. So we're all anxiously awaiting more from you. Thank you for coming, Anna. A quick reminder, next week, August 13th, our speaker will be Senator Tom Coburn. Because we're expecting a big crowd that day, you'll see these sheets on your table. Please sign up, adjust your schedules accordingly because we're going to start a bit early. We're sure he has a lot to say, and he can, of course, speak more freely now because he's about to leave Washington. Anyway, please sign up and make your reservations so there'll be a place for you to sit. And also, make advance reservations for your guests. Ed Monette and Ron Walker, if you'll make your way up to the stage, we're going to have an introduction of our two newest Rotarians. And while they're making their way up here, let me thank John Stava, who did the new member orientation for our new members today.
Guests and fellow Rotarians, it gives me a ton of pleasure and honor to introduce to you Cousin Bob's daughter, Lauren Monet. Yes, we are related, and because in our family, if you're older, you're an uncle, so I don't know if I'm a second cousin or whatever, but anyway. So Lauren joins our club. She is the PR director for the entire state of Oklahoma for the law offices of Rod Polston, and she will come under the classification of law marketing, I guess. It says that. All right, very good. She is also a 2004 Camp Enterprise graduate and was president of the winning team. Lauren attended Dickinson College and then went to the University of Malaga in Spain. She is also fluent in Spanish. She is very active in the community. Currently, she is the chairman of the fundraising committee for the Lindsay House. She volunteered at our most recent IBA banquet. Please help me give a very warm Rotary welcome to my favorite niece, Lauren Monet.
Is this good, Ron? I would, President-elect Jeff, Rotarians, I would like to introduce Tim Fernandez. Tim is the director of the Achieve program for Tulsa Community College, which began in '07, and he's been the founder and director since. Tim is married to Karen, who is a school teacher, and three children, Tim Jr., Joe, and Katie. They're all in higher education at the same time. Spare time, he's a golfer, so there's a lot of golfers out there. And he's a very strong volunteer at Jackson Elementary for reading classes at the elementary school. Now, some of you don't know the Chiefs program. It is a real neat thing. It's a scholarship. To qualify, you have to be a high school graduate in Tulsa County and have a 2.0 grade point average. It's a 2-year program, 63 credits, pays tuition and fees. Plus, you have to perform 40 hours of community service. Now, to date, 10,000?
10,000 students.
10,000 students. Terrific, terrific. There's one other thing I'd like to let you know. In part, the funding comes from Tulsa County ad valorem tax. He thanks you. Welcome to Rotary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, we have a couple of fun project announcements. If Joe Moran and Rob Berry will make their way up to the podium. Let Joe go first since he's scurrying up to the microphone.
It's a pleasure to have with me today Susan Pierce and Stanley Forbes with the Bradley Forbes. I almost called you Malcolm Forbes. With the Center for the Physically Limited. They have a sports team called the Jammers. They are an adaptive sports basketball team. And we have a little video I'd like to let you see to understand what we're giving them today.
We have a lot of everything.
I have a spinal cord injury and I'm a paraplegic because they don't offer sports like this at my school, so I come here to play other sports.
I come here and I get a lot of exercise and I get to hang out with some people like me.
I get to play around with other kids that have the same situation. They're in the same situation, they have the same disability, and I get to compete with other people.
Hey, here's the rules. No, it's not.
Sometimes at practice when we're scrimmaging, I'll fight for the ball and I'll growl at people.
We just think of each other like, as everybody else can walk, nobody talks about being able to walk. Nobody talks about being in a wheelchair.
Bradley is fun in the scrimmages and stuff, but he can get pretty serious in the plays.
You're gonna pass the ball, where you going?
I did have a period of
The Jammers are ranked number 10 in the nation currently. I don't know how they do it. I used to play some ball in my day. I could barely dribble and walk at the same time. And to be able to operate a wheelchair is really extraordinary. The wheelchairs that we are presenting to the Center for the Physically Limited are adaptive sports wheelchairs that are specifically designed for basketball. And with those 3 new chairs, we know that the Jammers will increase their rating from number 10 to hopefully number 1. What do you think, Susan?
That's his deal. That's his deal.
All right. So with this check of $8,500, we're presenting that will allow you to buy those 3 new wheelchairs. So thank you very much.
You're next, Rob.
Earlier this year, John Minnelli and I visited the Child Abuse Network, also known as CAN, and we were thoroughly impressed. Rotary Foundation is pleased to present this check of $4,333 to Brandy Moore, Community Relations Director of Child Abuse Network. In the prevention, intervention, and treatment continuum of child abuse, CAN provides intervention services to about 50 children each week. When child abuse happens, authorities bring children to CAN for interviews, medical evaluations, mental health consultations, and treatment referrals. These services are provided at no cost to children and their families. Child abuse is a significant issue in Tulsa County. According to data provided by the Oklahoma Department of Human Services, 1 in 25 Tulsa County children is involved in a child abuse investigation every year. This data suggests that each of Tulsa's school-age children has a classmate who lives in a situation troubling enough to require the attention of state authorities. Child abuse requires the community's awareness and involvement. This foundation grant will help CAN secure and purchase the educational and outreach tools and materials needed to engage the general public in an inviting and positive way to communicate about child abuse. By taking part in conversations, Tulsans will become more comfortable with speaking up and protecting children in their lives and in our community. Brandy, thank you very much. Here's your check.
Now it's Sarge time. You decided to come out of the pub, did you?
Well, it is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
You have to take one day off, right? Do we have some slides? So, can we do some editing for Rhonda? Ah. I think we're almost there.
I see a thumb coming up over there.
Okay. So here's my first issue is I didn't realize that Jeff was going to be nice when Rhonda was out of town, because when I thought I put a slide up to represent that, it was just, yay, the boss is out of town. So thanks for making me look bad. All right, on to business. A reminder, any gifts that are given are all for our local foundation, and they're perpetual gifts. The income derived from the foundation is what supports all the wonderful grants and all the other projects that the foundation supports. So we'll start off today with a very beautiful slide. Mr. Barry is showing off his daughter and granddaughter here, $50 for his daughter's birthday on the 27th of July, and his granddaughter, who was 2, on July 31st. So thank you, Rob. Karen Keith, who was recognizing Michael and Lisa, who came today. Thank you for the Project Special Courage, which they've been setting up. And there was an article talking about that and some funding issues for children with special disabilities. So if anyone has more of an interest in that, talk to Michael. But thank you to Karen for bringing that to my attention. Beth Donica, thank you, $52. We have no idea what the 52 is related to, but we appreciate it. Joe Moran, we certainly do not attribute the 100 to anything because we know Joe's a sprightly 40. Birthday on July 28th. Thank you, Joe. John Story, 25 years in Rotary, and a birthday on August 16th, $100. Thank you very much, John. So, first of all, a big thank you. Is Karen Keith here? Yeah. So, Karen, I'm going to get some badge for you or something, because so far she's my catcher-in-chief. I think it's the third time she's caught Rotarians, brought them to my attention, and I've been able to find them, so thank you very much. And watch out if Karen catches you. Linda, who may be changing her name at some point due to her affinity for Will Rogers, is now ticking the box for being appointed to the Will Rogers Memorial Commission, and Linda is very excited. So congratulations, Linda. So John O'Connor and his wife Lucia are celebrating their 36th wedding anniversary and also 31 years in Rotary. Thank you very much, John, and congratulations. So, if anyone remembers Marty a couple of weeks ago, we counted 11 tongue twisters. So, she sells seashells by the seashore. It is possible. But speaking of this, I don't know if we should let Ed Monette get away with calling Malaga Malaga. Is that right, Lauren? I think, Ed, you're going to have to talk to me afterwards, I'm afraid. You'll be seeing Ed next week. The very fun thing with Marty is when I find her and asked her if it was okay to step up, she replied back, how about I give you another $140? Ed, just so you know, when I talk to you afterwards, this is what other Rotarians are doing. So this is a picture of Marty in Zambia with some other Rotarians, and it's 40 years of working in the travel industry, which is $40, and also she's arranged travel now for over 100 Rotarians over the years, so 140. Thank you very much, Marty. Clark Southmaid. I was struggling to fit it all on the slide, but I think I have it. 20th Rotary anniversary, and I love all the Rotary anniversaries. When you do this job, you get all the numbers showing up down there, and it is incredible. There are 15th, 20th, 30th, 40th, and you know, it's great to celebrate that. And also, Clark recently became VP and manager of the Oil and Gas Division of Trust Company of Oklahoma. And also a mention for his daughter, Sarah, who graduated from Rice with a degree in chemical and biomolecular engineering, which sounds fascinating to me. Thank you very much, Clark. $200. So we had a late one in yesterday from Gerry, and he sent me this list, and I had to call him up because I wanted a little explanation. So the $49, so $200 total, the $49 for his wedding anniversary, I understood. And Gerry, are you here? Gerry, happy anniversary for today, which is very fun. And is Denise here too? Denise, congratulations, thank you very much. So he then put some other information on the slide, which I had no idea about. And I called him up and said, 6,376 orphans from 20 countries and 26,830 adoptions, what does that mean? And he started to tell me about Dillon International. And perhaps everyone else in the room understands this, but Gerry got choked up talking to me about it. But the impact that these people have had on children's lives around the world is incredible, so congratulations. And thank you. Along with First Group Home in the USA and Shadow Mountain Behavioral Health, the first adolescent psychiatric permanent facility, if I got that right. And there was a final thing. An Arthur Ashe quote he wanted me to say, "True heroism is remarkably sober, very undramatic. It is not the urge to surpass all others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever cost." So thank you very much, Gerry and Denise. I'm done.
And just a reminder, there's a shortcut for you to notify the Sarge of your fines that you may find out there. He's doing a great job. Let's keep giving him good material. Now for the Rotarian of the Day, past President Tim Caldwell. Tim joined the club in September of 1985. He's a Club Foundation Fellow, a benefactor, and a Paul Harris Fellow. He is the Community Outreach Business Partner for Williams. Tim's not only the Rotarian of the Day, but I want to remind you that he's co-chairing this year's Club Centennial Observance. Please welcome past President Tim Caldwell.
Thank you, President-elect Jeff. Well, today's speaker has a distinguished record as a physician, an educator, an academician, and a university administrator. As Dean of the OU College of Medicine, Tulsa, Dr. Gerry Clancy oversaw the transformation of the college into the University of Oklahoma School of Community Medicine with an explicit commitment to improve the health of entire communities. Since 2006, he served as president of the University of Oklahoma Tulsa campus with oversight of health sciences, liberal arts, education, engineering programs, all here in Tulsa. Under his leadership, those OU programs have grown with the Tulsa campus, adding $132 million in endowed chairs, $141 million in new facilities, including 7 new buildings, and $17.5 million in new student scholarships. Our honorary Rotarian and speaker was 2011 chair of the Tulsa Regional Chamber, and he is the incoming chair for the Tulsa Area United Way. But he's not here to speak about any of these things, nor is he here to speak about his crediting all of his success to his upbringing and education in the great state of Iowa. Gerry has undertaken a giant task to work with regional leaders to form consensus on how this area should lay a foundation and embark on a plan of action to attract motivated, creative, and talented youth to a 21st century vibrant and exciting regional hub called Tulsa. That's what he's going to talk about. And we're pleased to welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa this Tulsa visionary, community leader, and a fellow Iowan, Dr. Gerry Clancy.
Well, thank you, Tim, and go Hawks, right? Go Hawks, excellent. Okay. Congratulations to Gerry and Denise Dillon as well. Paula and I, Paula, my wife, is here today. When we first came to Tulsa 13 years ago, our youngest we had just adopted from Korea through another adoption agency that was up in Iowa called Holt. And our family was adopted by the Dillon family and the agency, and it's been absolutely wonderful to us. So thank you very much, Gerry and Denise, as well. Congratulations. I think this might be my 4th talk here, and I'm trying to catch up with David Boren, but he just, and I'm here to announce today that in September, on September 19th, President Boren will be here to talk again, so I just cannot gain any ground on the man, so is talking, so that should be a great event. It's just amazing that you have to do a sign-up for Senator Tom Coburn, and I imagine you probably have to do sign-ups for David Boren, and I imagine you didn't have to do sign-ups for me today. Sorry, but I'm working on it. So if we could have my first slide. We're going to talk today about the future of Tulsa. And what I'm impressed by is all the good things that we're doing, but I'm also impressed by some of the things that we need to do in the future. So if we could have that first slide up, because everything flows from there. So as a university president, it's really one of my obligations to be able to look into the future and see where are we going and how do I need to prepare our curriculum and our programs of study for our students so that we're teaching them accurately. So that's really been personally what's been driving me. But through the Chamber, through the United Way, through the business community, through our university consortiums, I've been involved in some neat projects this year that we're going to put all together, and I'm going to give you the summary statements from all those projects. But this has been my reading list to companion alongside some of those studies, and it's really a fascinating list. This book here, called When the Boomers Bail, is all about our big, changing, shifting demographics. Our baby boomers are retiring, and that's going to have a huge impact on our economy and on our city. This book, Planet of Cities, is all about how cities are working with other cities to get economic development done. Essentially, they've forgotten about country to country. They've forgotten about state to state. They said, let's do city to city. And very interestingly, Paris and the Bay Area in California have a very strong relationship as far as economic development. This book here is very controversial. It's called Capital in the 21st Century. And it's a research study, 675 pages of economics, and it's number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. It's a very, very interesting book about where wealth is going in the world and where it's going in the United States. And essentially, wealth is being concentrated and what that means to our economy overall. This book, The New Geography of Jobs by Enrico Moretti at Stanford, is all about our young talent, our future economic development people. What's different about that youth group is that they are mobile. They will go where the jobs are. They will go first to where it's a cool place and then look for a job. And one of our mandates for Tulsa is to make Tulsa a cool place that they want to come to or they want to stay in. This book, put out by Jim Clifton, who is the president of Gallup, fascinating book about the international competition we're going to be faced as far as jobs. We're in a race with China for the best jobs in the world right now. And those that have the best jobs actually get to set the tone across the world as far as what are the important values and principles. And then finally, this book, Detroit, An American Autopsy, is a fascinating book when you look at what happens when planning doesn't go right. And so let's think and let's talk about Tulsa. So let's advance that slide. Well, what I will tell you, and we'll wait for that slide to go forward, is that over the past 5 years, we've done 4 major study initiatives as far as the future of Tulsa. The first has been inner-city visits. Roughly 100 people over the past 4 years each year have gone to Indianapolis, Charlotte, Louisville, and Pittsburgh to look at what the future of their cities looks like and what are they doing right versus what we can do in Tulsa. The second study has been a regional workforce analysis funded in part by the Department of Commerce. How does Tulsa match up as far as job opportunities in the future? The third study group has been sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and that has been our regional competitiveness study. And that's benchmarking Tulsa with 9 other cities: Dallas, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Little Rock, Shreveport, Omaha, Indianapolis, and Louisville, and looking at how do we compare to those other cities as far as economic development. As well in that study was a polling of 1,300 business leaders in the Tulsa area. So let me put together some of the results of that. The first is, where are we doing well? We are doing exceedingly well as far as job growth. We are doing well as far as increases in job wages. We are a region that is growing as far as its population. We're at 953,000. We are known now for our regional cooperation between our different cities and our city and our county. We have extremely low unemployment. Our unemployment rate is at about 4.2%, and our cost of living in Tulsa is 11% below the national average. So we're doing very well in those areas. Our sector strength, we're doing well in energy, we're doing well in manufacturing, we're doing well in aerospace, we're doing well in healthcare. And in fact, it's been manufacturing that we've been growing the most as far as jobs in the Tulsa area as of late. We obviously know that we have a wonderful downtown revitalization going on. More than $1 billion has now been invested in downtown, and it's really starting to show. The Tulsa Achieves program through Tulsa Community College, birthed by President Tom McKeon, is a wonderful success in getting people from high school into college through that scholarship program. Among our peers, we are #1 in individuals with 2-year degrees. We do very well at transitioning people from high school into that college setting. We are best among our peers as far as volunteerism, we are best as far as charitable giving, and we are best as far as quality of life. So you just saw that map of the United States, and that was a map of unemployment rates, and we are one of the very best in the country right now as far as unemployment. This graph shows job growth, which is slightly different than an unemployment rate, and Oklahoma is third only to Texas and North Dakota as far as job growth between 2007 and 2014. So we should feel good about that as well. And obviously, energy is playing a strong role in growing jobs for us as well. But it's also important to think about what those polls and what those studies showed as far as what we're not doing well in. One of the areas we're not doing well is our perception. Those 1,300 business leaders, when they're out and about across the country, when they talk about Oklahoma, they get the general sense that those outside of Oklahoma think of Oklahoma as backwards. And we've got to improve that perception. Second of all, Tulsa as a city has higher than national average age of our population. We've got to be aggressive as far as recruiting young talent. Number three, our public school performance is not doing near as well as it should, and that's going to be a drag on our ability to recruit and retain young talent. Our poverty rates are starting to become concerning, as well as our crime rates as well. And one of the things we can't get on is one of those lists that says we are a top 10 city as far as a particular crime rate. I don't know if anybody noticed, Oklahoma City got put on one of those lists just over this past week. They were put on this list as number 5 in the country as far as gang activity. We've got to avoid that. We've got to avoid that. Our public transportation needs to be modernized. That young talent is not as interested in car-based type of travel, and so we've got to think more about that. And one that really surprised me from these studies is among our peers, remember we were number 1 in 2-year degrees, we're the bottom of those 10 as far as bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. And so we've really got to get people from those 2-year degrees to the bachelor's degrees to the master's degrees. And then lastly, the question is, are we appealing enough for that young, motivated talent to come to Tulsa, to stay in Tulsa? Are we doing well enough so that we can keep them here? Let's go on to the next slide. This is a graph that shows from 1900 until 2050, the increase in 65-year-olds across the United States. And it's essentially exponential. Those 65-year-olds are increasing at a greater and greater rate, and then within that 65-year-old group, the 74 to 85-year-olds are the fastest growing group as well. Now, that's really important because of the next slide. Maybe. No, one more slide. But this also shows job participation rate between 1981 and 2011. Job participation rate in the United States peaked in 2000 at 67%. We're now down to 63% as far as job participation rate. That's not unemployment, that's retirement. So we've got less and less of our population actually working right now because more and more of our population is retiring. We're retiring at the rate of 10,000 people per day in the United States. It's a huge, huge number. Why is that important to Tulsa? Why is that important to Dewey Bartlett? Let's go to this next slide. This is retail spending per person over your lifespan from age 20 out to age 90. Our peak spending is at about age 45. And after that, we spend less and less. When we spend, that's tax revenue for our city. So this needs to be concerning as well. We have to have at least a balanced portfolio of ages across our population here in Tulsa. So that's really, really important. Now, those studies didn't take into account the next slide, though, which I think is very, very encouraging for Oklahoma. I'm out of sync here. It'll get encouraging in a minute. This is a map of where the young talent is right now in America. The purple dots are those that is ranked as creative density. The blue dot is patent density. Where are the patents being created across the United States? The green dots are where high tech is the most dense. And the yellow dots are where those cities are known for their arts, culture, and diversity. And what you see is nothing really happened in the middle south of the United States, which is a great opportunity for us. That's an opportunity. We should be known and could be known as this part of the country's place for those kind of things for young creative talent. But we've got to put pieces in place. So let's go to the next slide. This is one of the things that those studies did not take into account, and that is our oil and gas reserves that we have in the ground here. This is a huge opportunity for Tulsa to be able to distinguish itself among other cities across the United States. How will we do as far as young creative talent in the energy fields? There's a great opportunity for us here. We're also doing well in some other areas. On that near horizon, we should feel very, very excited about some of the things that are just about ready to come into play. The Gathering Place, which is over $200 million worth of investment, will make Tulsa a destination city for adventure parks for kids. It's going to be fantastic. Our partnership between the University of Oklahoma and the University of Tulsa continues forward. We are now recruiting our new medical students for the full 4 years with the University of Tulsa, and they start in 2015. I'm so proud of the Tulsa community. They've invested $120 million in the medical school alone to get us from a 2-year school to a 4-year school. We've got great momentum as far as STEM, science, technology, energy, and math, or engineering and mathematics. In fact, all those universities and high schools that are working on STEM have come together in what's called a STEM Alliance, which is very encouraging about how we can work off of each other for pathways for kids to go into engineering. Our youngest, Joey, is at Booker T. He's in a robotics program in the afternoon. That's his team that he's on. And in the evenings, he goes over to the University of Tulsa and works with their robotics team. It's a great STEM pathway for him. It's fantastic. As far as our public schools, there's a new initiative underway called Impact Tulsa, which is all the things that need to happen around a public school to get that school performing better. Health, mental health, economic development, crime and safety. Everyone is coming together around Impact Tulsa. So it's a very exciting time. We've got some areas where we're underinvesting as well. We need to continue to invest in public safety, as we discussed before. We can't be one of those cities that is tagged as a dangerous city. We've got to put water in the river, and Karen Keith would not be happy with me if I didn't also say we also need to protect the levees, right? All right, good. We've got to work on our airport. Our airport infrastructure, as far as modernization of our maintenance base, has got to keep online with the modernization of those airplanes, and we've not invested as we should. Another area is deal flow. How do really smart young entrepreneurs get their ideas transferred into businesses? We're not as strong as we should be in those areas. We need to be more appealing as far as some of our transportation options beyond cars. And then lastly, our high schools and our universities have to get very serious about the pathway from high school all the way through college to job potential. And we saw where we have great potential in manufacturing, energy, healthcare, and aerospace. So it looks daunting, and some of those statistics, let's go on to the next slide, some of those statistics I put out in front of you could be a little bit concerning, but actually I hope you feel pretty good about it. And I have 3 stories to tell you to actually uplift you. About 5 or 6 months ago, as we were discussing our book list with my son, who's 23 years old in grad school at OU, he said, "Dad, I get it as far as what cities are cool, where people need to move to, but I have one question for you. Should I stay in Tulsa or should I go?" And my answer back to him was, well, that depends. Do you want to go to a city where everything's already done? Or do you want to be part of something great in a city that's really on the move and creating something very, very special? And that was enough, I think, to inspire him. And I think he's going to stay here for the long haul. But I wanted to add more detail to it. And I said, you know, Sam, I also want you to know why Tulsa is so special. And Tulsa is special because it gets things done. And one of those stories really came home to Paula and I this year. I was in clinic one afternoon, and I get a text from my daughter, Mary, who's 20 years old, in speech path at the University of Oklahoma, and working as a camp counselor in rural Oklahoma with about 80 kids, all of them in abject poverty. And she says, she texts me, "Daddy, I have one of my campers who says his dad has cancer. He has a huge mass on his jaw. He went to the hospital, and they said he had to pay up front to get the surgery he needed. Well, he has no money. He's pawned everything he owns, and he used what he had left to buy a burial plot." My daughter said, "I'm driving him to you, to the Bedlam Clinic." And 2 hours later, she showed up. And lo and behold, she was exactly right. This individual had a terrible bone mass in his jawbone. And he had been turned away from a hospital because he didn't have money up front. And this is the beauty of Tulsa. First of all, he was able to come into Bedlam. And remember, several years ago, you helped start Bedlam. Rotary Tulsa helped start Bedlam. You put $100,000 into it. Bedlam is still going strong, 62,000 patient visits over 10 years. We've saved the system about $80 million in diverted emergency room visits. But this individual, at Bedlam, what was it going to do next? He needed to have an oral surgeon, he needed to have a pathologist, he needed to have an oncologist, and he needed to have a radiation oncologist. Well, this is also what's special about Tulsa. I called Jake Henry at St. Francis. I actually texted him and said, my daughter brought this patient to me, and I'm bringing them to you. And you know what Jake said? We'll take him and we'll take care of everything. It was fascinating. Fabulous, fabulous story. So, yeah. And that's what I want to get across to our kids is that, yes, every city in America has daunting troubles out there in front of them. But Tulsa is one of those places that's honest about what's good and not good about it, and then does something about it. And that was a perfect one-on-one example. I'm going to finish with what's right here. Quietly, on April 27, 2014, our health department released a report that said, some hope in troubling health disparity findings, which was what was written up in the Tulsa World. You've heard me talk for years now about the 14-year difference in life expectancy between North Tulsa and South Tulsa. What this health department report noted was all North Tulsa zip codes saw improvement in overall health over the past 3 or 4 years. We are making progress on something that is very difficult and very hard to improve upon, and that's because Tulsa is a special place. That's because places like Rotary get Bedlam started, and we start to get the momentum rolling. So thank you for all you've done for OU. Thank you for all you've done for Bedlam. It's paying off. Congratulations to Rotary. Thank you.
Is there one really good question for Dr. Clancy? There it is. Chuck always has a question. Yeah.
No, David Bourne will not be on time. Well, it's really through engineering. Engineering is really one of those fields that the more engineers we can get out there, the more they can do at that research level and at that design and put it into action business level. But each city that we have has strengths to build off of. And one of the areas that I think actually has the greatest potential for Tulsa is around the neurosciences. Laureate Institute for Brain Research, funded by the Warrens at about $60 million, has incredible potential to bring OU, OSU, and TU together as far as new findings and such. Engineering, obviously, as well. We've got more to do there as far as engineering. University of Tulsa's cybersecurity program, quietly one of the very best in the entire world. There's where there's opportunities. Build off of our strengths, Chuck, I think is where we need to go. All right. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Dr. Clancy, you said Tulsa is a city on the move, and you're a big part of that, so thank you for everything you do. Our book today for Celia Clinton is The Pigeon Needs a Bath. I don't know who the pigeon is. And I did not ask Dr. Clancy who the pigeon is. Maybe he doesn't know. Upcoming programs, a reminder on August 13th. Like I said earlier, Senator Tom Coburn will be here. Sign up if you can. Let the office know if you'll have a guest. August 20th, Ken Levitt, the executive director of the George Kaiser Family Foundation, will be our guest. And you spoke of cool cities. Last night, my wife and I drove all the way to Enid, Oklahoma to go to a concert in their new event center, 3,000 or 4,000 people. And we got home at like 2 o'clock in the morning, so God knows what I did during this meeting. But we saw a band called the Goo Goo Dolls, and I am going to veto Rhonda's song request and put one of their songs on. And it has this line in it, and it's not a religious statement. This is a rock and roll band, but It's a good thing to think about. One of the lines in this song is, "A poor child once changed the world." There's 10 million more who could do the same if we would all just stop and say a prayer for them. Think about that. We're adjourned.